Welcome to discussion. We're going to talk about Ventus and Aqua, but first I want to add something I forgot in the Terra episode, and I want to make sure I cover it. Terra's role in Snow White's story is identical to that of the huntsman in the original movie. The queen asks the huntsman to take Snow White into the forest and kill her, bringing her Snow's heart as proof. The huntsman takes pity on Snow White though, and betrays the queen. It's one of the most clever integrations of a Keyblade wielder into a Disney World in the entire series, so I wanted to make sure we made a note of it. Ventus is the classic mythical archetype of an initiate, someone who starts a story at a low rank and whose journey is one of trying to come of age. Ventus is the youngest of Ericus' disciples, and has spent years watching his older friends get closer and closer to being masters. He feels like the further out into adulthood they go, the larger the distance between them grows. Now, we know that Ventus' heart is both fractured and devoid of darkness. He has Sora's heart helping him with the first part, but the second is notable because it makes Ventus simple and good-natured. He's not sneaking out of the land of departure to go party, although I do hear Aladdin throw some hardcore ragers. He wants to go out and do good, and most importantly, to help Terra, the person he looks up to the most and the person he most wants to be like. In the land of departure, Ventus taunts Ventus by telling him Terra is going to succumb to the darkness. He wants Ventus to leave home and become stronger so the fight will be more evenly matched and create the Keyblade. Now, Ventus would have wanted to go along with Terra anyway, but hearing that he's going to be in trouble, Ventus thinks he may have a chance to help save his friend, and also to prove to everyone else that he's stronger than they think. This is why he rushes off without permission, and refuses to come back when both Aqua and Terra beg him to. Ventus has taken two big hits emotionally so far. The first is being told by Maleficent that Terra has taken Aurora's heart. Remember, Ventus idolizes Terra, and no one wants to hear that their hero isn't who they thought they were. While Ven doesn't believe it, it's hard for him to forget that Ventus told him that Terra is going to be changing. While Ventus never buys the story, it's enough to shake him. He then learns that Aqua's been following him and Terra on Master Ericus' orders. He feels hurt and betrayed, and while he seems to calm down and forgive her later, it's worth remembering how mean he was to her in Radiant Garden, considering where he's going to end up later. Now, because Ventus is younger and has a generally more positive outlook than his brooding idol Terra, his interactions on the worlds are largely based around making friends and helping people, with the exception of the Seven Dwarfs who, for whatever reason, just don't seem to like him. He meets Jack and fixes Cinderella's dress, leads Snow White through the haunted forest, saves Aurora's heart from Maleficent with the three fairies, and befriends Lee and Isa. It's quite a difference from Terra's time trying to decide whether or not he should kill young girls because he was told to, or blowing out people's eyes than being praised for it. I mean, to each his own, just saying. Where Terra's story is about the battle of light and darkness within one person, Ventus' heart is pure light, and this affects the way in which he interacts with people. However, his heart is still broken, even with Sora's help, so there's a real sadness that pervades Ventus' story. This is also reflected in his theme music, which I could say is the most somber piece of music in all of Kingdom Hearts. So even though Ventus' story has him making a lot of friends, there's still this intense feeling of loneliness to him. No matter how hard he tries, Terra and Aqua always seem really far away, and when he finally does meet them again, all they do is tell him to go home or give him reasons to distrust them. Like Terra, Ventus is looking for the place he belongs, though in his case the feeling of being incomplete is physical as much as it is emotional. Ventus is going to spend the rest of the story trying to prove himself, and we're going to have a lot more to say about him when it's over. Aqua is the last of our main character trio. At this point in the story, she doesn't really have as much going on as the other two, and if you're experiencing birth by sleep for the first time, it may seem like she's getting the shaft. This is in some ways related to her story. She's the only one of the trio that Xehanort hasn't got anything planned for, which is a little hint of her role in the finale. The only thing I'll say now is that Aqua is easily one of my favorite characters in all of Kingdom Hearts, but we're going to have to wait a bit to see why. The end of Birth by Sleep is basically going to be a crash course in why Aqua's a badass. As far as her current story, it's really about holding everyone together. Terra and Ventus are reckless and seemingly lost, and Aqua's the one who keeps an eye on them and tries to make sure they don't go too far out of their depth. Aqua's the most straight-laced of all the pupils, attaining the master title and having the easiest time following Ericus' orders. Of course, she's unnerved by the idea of essentially spying on Terra, but she knows deep down he needs the help, and she doesn't want him to lose his way. She takes a huge hit in Radiant Garden, admitting that she's following him and Ventus, but she cares more about keeping them safe and having them like her. Selflessness and compassion are Aqua's two biggest traits, and they're going to continue to define her as the story goes on. That being said, she's learning that the world isn't as simple as she tends to think it is. She's beginning, little by little, to question Ericus' harsh worldview, just like her friends. Aqua has no intention of using the power of darkness, but at the same time she's starting to see how strong lights can cast bigger shadows. This concerns her because she still wants to fight the darkness, but she's not quite sure how. When she gives Terra and Ventus the Wayfinders at the beginning of the game, I think she can sense that their perfect friendship can't last forever. She's scared of losing the bond they have now, so she gives them away to help stay connected. Aqua's story has a real element of helplessness to it. She's watching her friends go through these really difficult times, and there's a limited amount that she can do about it. For someone like Aqua, that's incredibly frustrating. Aqua also notably meets a young Kairi during her journey. The full implications of this are yet to be seen, but Birth by Sleep is in many ways a generational story. The events that happen echo forward into the other games, setting up patterns and recurring themes. Kairi's pure heart lets her inherit the ability to wield a Keyblade just by touching Aqua's. The girls' hearts are very similar, and they resonate in a way that's similar to Ventus and Sora's from earlier in the story. When Aqua casts a spell on Kairi's necklace to protect her from the darkness, it's another case of her instincts telling her that it'll be needed. Again, we see Aqua protecting people, and it's far from the last time. So those are our three heroes. We've only scratched the surface of their personalities and their roles in the story, but they'll become more apparent as we get nearer to the conclusion. Now that we have a better understanding of who we're working with, we'll be able to see the trajectory of their story arcs both individually and as a group. Next time we're back to the story, and we're going to Disney Town.